we're already in next middle of the next.
It's in the Parshat. It's in this week's Parshat. God said it. Hashem said it to Yaakov. Ayo, Forasta Yamavaketma, Forasta Savarina Vanekva, Aha, Forasta Yamavaketma, Vanekva Yamavaketma, Savarina Vanekva. Yamma Vaketma Savarna Vanekva Yamma Vaketma Savarna Vanekva Forasta Yamma Vaketma Savarna Forasta Yamma Vaketma Savarna Vanekva Parasta Yamma Vaketma Savarna Vanekva Yamma Vaketma Vanekva Yamma Vaketma Savarna Vanekva Yamma Vaketma Savarna Vanekva. So how far did we get, please? 2:00 something? 2:00. Did we finish? Did we finish 2:09? Right. That's about it. Yeah.
Up to Rome.
Roma. Yeah.
When?
Second last line on the page.
The last paragraph.
Later on, you can sign in if you want. Okay. So for Shlomo for Bruchat Batzlote and Reb Stein Zalson is a Reb Shlomo Rabadin ben Rivkileya. So Reb Stein Zalson points out how much this parsha is really our story, the story of the Jewish people, the story of each individual Jew. Like we've been learning the story of the neshama coming down to this world, coming from a wonderful, comfortable place, coming into Choron, into the place of anger. This world is a place of anger. And anger basically emanates from the fact that we see ourselves as being separate from everybody else. Oh, here's the stool.
No,
I'm just giving it to you in case you want it. And the question is, like, are you going to be able to navigate through this world safely and come back home safely to Shemayim? I told the story this morning at the yeshiva. When I went to Reb Shlomo Carlebach's wedding, it's quite a few years ago. So I was on one of my trips, and it was in Long Island. It was in some kind of a country club that had wedding halls, and so I don't remember whose car I was driving, but I came there with one car, and then I had to, I was delivering the car, and I had to transfer my stuff out of the car. Anyway, so I come to this fancy place, and there's two elevators, and there's like a big hall, about twice the size of this room in front of the elevators. And I'm waiting for the elevator, and in the meantime, this guy comes in with his jeans and a leather jacket, no yarmulke on the head. And near the elevators, there was this utility room for the, did you move a bit to your right so I can see you? This utility room for the photographers to put their equipment, and for the clergy to get dressed, etc. So this guy is obviously he's there to do the wedding in the other hall.
Maybe he was the clergy and he had to go.
He was the clergy.
No,
that's what I'm saying. That's what he was. He was the clergy, and he went in to get dressed. And he's talking. In the meantime, he's talking to the photographers there. And and I'm listening to him talking Like I told somebody the other day who every third, fourth word was beginning with the letter F. I said, can't you learn some synonyms? And in any case, like this guy is talking like nibble peh, like you wouldn't believe. So I'm thinking to myself, I can imagine what kind of a chuppah he's going to do,
Yeah.
Anyway, about an hour later, I had to go and get something from the car. So I'm coming back downstairs into that vestibule, and Mr. Rabbi is back in his jeans and his leather jacket. He's already finished his. Baruch Hashem, I had a moment of consciousness where I felt like, instead of looking at him negatively, maybe try to see something positive. So I come up to the elevator, we get into the elevator, and he says, hello. And I answered him, hello, And he says, where are you from? I said, from Yerushalayim. And he says, where do you He's from Meir Shorim.
Close.
Okay.
And better like that.
He's from Meir Shorim, and he says from the Rebbe Ara Chassidim. He says all his brothers and sisters, their children they're still here by the Rebbe Ara Chassidim, and their kids are married. They have grandchildren already. This and that and so on. And he says he came to America about 30 years ago, to be like a cantor or a shtickle rabbi, thinking that he would do something, a little bit parnasa, a little bit something for Yiddishkeit. And he says to me, look at me now. And then he says, with tears in his eyes, he says, and as far as my children are concerned, don't even ask. Yes. Like you leave your comfort zone, you leave your environment, you leave your shul, you leave you go out into the world, and all of a sudden you're not with like-minded people, right? And different value systems and so on and so on. And it's a dangerous journey. It's a dangerous journey, mamish dangerous. Okay. And the truth of the matter is that what the Reb Shlomo says, this is, besides emphasizing this is our story as a people and it's our story as individuals. Today, it's even more problematic because today, like you have, the insular neighborhoods, and but worse than that is that a kid comes into yeshiva with his iPhone, you don't know what he's got in that phone, and with the internet and everything. So, like in other words, the outside world is no longer just outside; it's in your pocket. It's like it's not much like it's with you wherever you go. So the struggle to be true to our true essence, to our real essence, is a serious struggle, right? And there are different ways that different communities deal with it, and some deal with it by basically telling the kids, listen, everybody out there is treif, and don't trust anybody that doesn't dress exactly like you, and so on and so on, etc. And and what and they try to live an insular life. The only problem is that sometimes the worm is right there inside. The once heard of the Fabrengen, the Shem Tov was telling over this anecdote. But this man decided his son was born and that he's going to raise him mamish to be a tzaddik. Mm-hmm. So he made sure that he doesn't see a female all his life. Anyway, one day the boy is 18 years old. Never saw a girl, never saw a woman. And they had to go somewhere, and they're walking in the street, and he sees a woman, and he says to his father, what's that? And his father says, "That's a kachke."
Oh no.
He says, "Ich will a kachke."
Oh,
A duck. A duck. Yeah, that's a duck. He says, "Get me a duck." In other words, so the Chabad perspective is you got to know what's happening out there in the world. You got to realize what the challenges are, and you have to know how to cope. And if you don't develop inner fortitude and character, then like this guy, comes out of Mayesharim and he's destroyed. And
Very
so, huh?
Very
Yeah.
In fact, by the way, that's years ago, and the world was freaked out over this. This is part of the education, which I feel is totally mishandled since I'm an addictions therapist. But a little boy came out and he was lost, and probably they said, "Don't go ask a guy how to go." So he ran into this Jewish guy who not only drugged him, molested him, and put him
In Borough Park. Yeah.
And I remember, like, when the kids came home that day, I was sitting on the steps waiting for them because I really had this lesson to tell them, like, please. And my kid said, "You're crazy, Mommy. It can't be possible."
But what's the lesson? The lesson is that within the community, you also have crazy people also. Yeah.
So they're saying no cell phones, which I agree. Okay, you could get a kosher phone. Know this, know that, know this. Don't do it. Everybody's bad. But it's not teaching them anything. It's not teaching them.
Yeah.
Because it does exist, and
It
like
exists,
you say, you have to
and
manipulate it somehow.
you need to know how to cope with it. Right?
Yes.
So I think I mentioned this the other day. I mentioned it last night. There's a halacha that tell me if I've spoken about this already. That if somebody comes to visit you, and they want to go home and it's already dark, and and they got to go through the forest or whatever. They got to go through somewhere that is not lit. So you, the host, have to make sure that they have a lantern with which to get home. I mentioned it the other day. No. And if they don't have, you have to provide it. It's like it's your responsibility to make sure that your guest gets home safely.
Wow.
So the Swasema says, so Hashem sends us down to this world, and this is a very dangerous journey, and Hashem has to provide us with a lantern. So what's the lantern that Hashem gives us? Kinei mitzvah, the Torah. The mitzvah is a candle, and the Torah is the light. Understand? Otherwise, it doesn't take long, and and you lose it. I told you a few weeks ago that there was a study done a few years ago. I don't know who did the study, and I haven't seen it, but I remember reading about it. This person went ahead and interviewed a whole bunch of very religious people and asked them the following question: if you were to be given a bubble of time, let's say 24 hours, and you would go to some destination where nobody knows you, and you can do whatever you want for those 24 hours. Come around over here. And you can do whatever you want for those 24 hours. Would you be observant or would you not?
Would you be a what?
Would you be religious during those 24 hours? Or would you go and taste everything that's that's forbidden? Right? And the number of people that actually said, people, assuming that people answered honestly, the number of people that said, can you put this behind you, please? The number of people, just put it behind you for now. Thank you. The number of people that said that they would not be religious was a very high percentage. I don't know what the percentage was, but it was higher than you would be surprised by it. Or maybe Religious people.
Are religious people.
You'd be surprised by how many people, which basically means, again, like, you know what, shall I bring a couple more glasses from behind you? Thank you. See how polite I am? Turn them over. Just turn them over. I'll take it to one. Okay.
See, I would, when you were in that discussion, I would have thought that too. I would have thought that at one time. But I wouldn't think about it now because you explained many times that the mitzvahs are the kesher with the Kodesh Baruch Hu.
Yeah.
So I'm conscious of that.
Oh, but that basically indicates is that like, you know, and this is what Reb Shlomo was talking about, that on a conscious level, you can tell me this is allowed, this is not allowed. Right? That's what we were learning the other day. On a conscious level, Shachris is obligatory, Mincha is obligatory, right? Mm-hmm. On a conscious level, but the thing is that if you're relating to it just on a conscious level, it doesn't touch your guts. Okay? It's important, but it's also very important to really know what's deep inside you. Right? That's like Alter Rebbe's Chinuch Katan, right? Mm-hmm. And unless you really get in touch with that, so then if your whole Yiddishkeit is pretty much superficial and you go out into the world, it doesn't take long for the shell to disintegrate, you know.
Did they ask the people, like, you can go to this island and nothing will happen to you if you don't want to be,
like you can do whatever you want. It's a safe bubble. Nobody's going to
know, but
and even God's.
God will be okay with that.
Yeah, God will be okay with it.
Oh, well, there's for 24 hours. They feel like they can go back to their religious life. Let me just see if I'd like to go to a dance club.
That's the cloud.
I like the deal, actually.
You like the deal, yeah. Thank you for being honest. Yeah.
Is that the worst thing you can think of going to a dance club?
So
the dance club. But
anyway, so
there are some things I want to do.
Excuse me. So the thing is that. See, you asked, like, you know, what about God? Well, that's the question. But how is your relationship with God? You understand? If your relationship with God is a deep relationship, so, you know, of course, you're not going to, who cares? You don't want to have a bubble, right?
But you said.
I know what I said. Yeah, I know. So I'm changing my answer.
Oh,
okay?
Wait,
If your relationship with Hashem is such that, in other words, if you see a mitzvah, if you see something permissible, something forbidden, you see it more than just a rule. You see it as a matter of connection with the Rebbeinu Shalom. So then it doesn't matter where you are.
Mm-hmm. Is that a good question? Because will God be okay with it? Because God knows everything. And if you go off the derech,
Hashem knows. Yeah,
God's looking at you.
Yeah.
Right,
the scary thing.
Actually, one of like Reb Shlomo once said that, you know, when a person's doing a transgression, like he says, Hashem, please don't look at me now. And Hashem says, you don't want me to look at you? Okay, so I'm not looking at you. And that's actually the biggest punishment.
Yes.
It's a stir up on it.
Okay. So the issue is, and I'm going to reread the second last paragraph on 209 because we're going to start from there today. L'tzarenu, much to our distress, אנחנו רחוקים מאוד מהנשמות שלנו. We're very distant from our souls. She doesn't look in a second.
Where are you reading?
And you also don't look in.
I'm sorry.
You also don't look in the book? You don't have to.
I am not going to be able to follow you.
So then give me the book.
This is fine.
Give him the book, okay? And here. Thank you. So he says that we're very, very distant from our souls. We're only aware of our mind and our heart. Yeah, I said I'm rereading it.
Okay.
Uperusha davar, and that means to say shebemet enenu yodim davar. That means that we basically really don't know anything about ourselves or about others. Tzarich lahodot b'kach, and you have to admit that that's the reality. רוב האנשים אינם זוכים לטעום אפילו שמץ מעומק העומקים של הפנימיות שלהם. Most people don't even get to taste the slightest amount of their depth, of their inner depth. כל הצדיקים מדברים על זה, all the tzadikim talk about this in the Hasidic form, שמה שרובנו חושבים שאנחנו רוצים, that which most of us think that we want, זה לא הרצון האמיתי שלנו, that's not what we really want. אנחנו יודעים מה אנחנו רוצים בקליפה החיצונית שלנו. We know what we want and what our outer shell wants. אבל במקום הפנימי and the innermost aspect of our being, מה אנחנו באמת רוצים? What do we really want? Okay.
You know, this is interesting because they use the word klippa.
Yeah.
And I never heard that word until my daughter passed away, and they didn't let the women go near the grave, and the men had to stay, and they were all clamoring about this klippa thing. And then afterwards, when I dealt with addicts, they said that they shouldn't go to the graves because the klippas come onto them from the graves. These guys, and I used to just think to what the hell they talk. What's a klippa, you know?
Not true.
Anyway, so it's used here, which is like an interesting lashon, because it's not usual.
Klippa means shell.
Right. So
Okay.
what's
spiritually
the connection?
It means spiritual.
Yeah.
Spiritually, it means something which prevents the light of Hashem from coming through clearly. Okay. Now there are shalosh klipot mayot. There are 3 klippas that are totally tamei, and everything contains divine sparks. Nothing can exist without having divine sparks. Okay.
I'm glad you explained this to me because I never really got this. Okay.
So now there are 3 klipot that are completely tamei, and the only thing that you could do with them is like leave them alone. They're asul. The word asul doesn't mean only forbidden. It also means what, Shmuel? Locked up. You know, locked up. Like you make a bracha in the morning, matir asurim.
It's like a whole deep thing.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, you've heard of Dr. Rabbis, Dr. Rabbi, Rofei Cholim u'matir asurim.
It means straightened up and not bent over. No, doesn't it mean that?
But
So
no, matir asurim is not that. No, but that's okay for female.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, so.
Right? So for example, you cannot take a ham sandwich and say, I'm going to eat the ham sandwich, and I'm going to elevate the sparks because I'm going to get the energy from the ham, and I'll use it for studying Torah.
Good excuse for doing a favor, isn't it?
Okay? Because those sparks are asurim. They're locked up. In other words, they're not accessible to us. The only thing that you can do with it, the only way that you can actually sort of, so to speak, elevate it is by recognizing that you can't do anything with it and leave it alone. Okay? Then there's the klipat noga. Noga means translucent. It doesn't let all the light through, but it lets some light through.
Isn't it a woman's name, Noga?
Yes. And it is used as a woman's name, yes. And klipat noga can go either way. In other words, you could use it. It could be used positively, and it could be used negatively. So, for example, the permissible foods you can eat and use the energy and raise the divine sparks into the service of Hashem. Or you could eat like a fresser and like a glutton, and you're just eating for your own pleasure, and then you're not doing anything positive with it, even if it's kosher.
So these are probably any of
Wait. Okay, like once the Kotzker Rebbe went over to a chassid and put his hands on his stomach and he said, "Shalom Aleichem Shabbos." And the chassid says, Rebbe, that's my stomach. So he says, yeah, but you're always going to cover Shabbos, to cover Shabbos.
So this might be any
Anyway,
process.
let me
things.
let me finish, okay?
Uh,
So now, when you're talking about the clippers around a burial site, that's already something more esoteric, okay? And I'm not even going to pretend that I understand that right now, but I'll give you a different example.
No, so there's
No,
three.
wait,
This is the third one?
No,
Oh.
the three are completely tamei, and the klipat noga is the fourth one that can go both ways.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't give you the names for the other three.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Now, for example,
I'll tell you how they explain it to me.
Ziva, please let me
Yeah.
just put this
Sorry.
together, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you are trying to help somebody that is severely depressed, okay, you have to be careful that they don't drag you into depression. Okay? Now, depression, Reb Nachman says, is worse than eating a ham sandwich on Yom Kippur. Okay, and if you want to try to help somebody that's depressed, you better make sure that you know how to maintain the borders, that you don't get dragged into it. Okay, now think of the word klippa. Okay, a spiritual darkness, a spiritual a shell that makes things look dark. Okay, depression is a severe klippa. It's a spiritually dangerous thing. Okay, so encountering death and being in a cemetery is also spiritually dangerous.
Being in a cemetery.
Being in a cemetery, in other words, you can be going and doing a mitzvah, Halvayat Hamet, Chesed Shel Emet, it's a big mitzvah, but you got to watch out that when you step out of there, that you don't carry the tumor of death with you. Now, the reason that it's hard for most of us to understand this today is because we don't even know what it means not to be tamei. We're all tamei. Okay, until we're going to have the next Torah Aduma, we're all tamei. So we don't even really get it. But just to give you a little inkling of it, think of yourself now and think of it of a newborn baby in terms of who's tahor and who's not tahor. Right? Okay? So tahara means like impurity is a bad translation. There's really no translation in any language that I know that really conveys the idea perfectly. But I'll use the word purity with the understanding that it's not such a good translation. But the idea being that when somebody is tahor, let's say, for example, you're from New York, right? And you meet Mr. Mafia. Okay? Mr. Mafia says, I want to give you a gift, right? What do you want, a BMW? I'm giving you a BMW, okay? Now you know that gift is not tahor, right?
Sure.
Not that even if he paid for it, it's not tahor because you know that it's not being given with a pure heart. You know that tomorrow he's going to call you up and he's going to tell you he wants you to do something, right? Mm-hmm. Right? So tahara is the idea is that, or like for example, like probably 50,000 people have already complimented Shaya on his shirt. Okay, because they all want to give, right? Somebody comes and says, "Oh, I like that suit that you're wearing," or "I like that shirt that you're wearing." How often are those words tahor? You know, and it could be to different degrees, to different extents. You understand? But there's always something a little bit manipulative about it. Okay, somebody who's really tahor is like mamish. You receive that compliment or you receive that gift, and it feels clean. It feels pure. You know what I mean? It's not okay. So this is another example of the clip. There's a clip there. There's a shell there between the act and the deeper intent of it. Okay. And Minhag Yerushalayim, by the way, is that like in the Haredi communities, they don't let women come to even the immediate family members, they don't let them come to the actual grave. They go to the Levaya, but they announce Minhag Yerushalayim, the women do not go into the cemetery plot.
That's what
There's a
happened.
reason.
Well, there's
There's a
two
reason.
things I
That's what happened
heard.
for my father-in-law.
There's a reason.
There's
That's-
two things I heard
It's a
about
real
this
it's a real
because I
problem.
asked. I was very like kind of weirded out with this whole thing.
Yeah.
So they said that the Sutton, when a Jew gets buried, the Sutton dances on top of the whatever. This is what I heard.
Yeah.
And because there's, let's say, men and women, so the force would be very strong to have, let's say, a man look at a woman or a woman, some type of a thing.
Whatever
So they
the
try to do
whatever
that.
the
That's one thing I
explanation
heard.
is,
I don't know if
listen.
it's true.
Let's put it this way.
And then there's another thing I heard.
You
about
know,
the-
I don't know. Like I told you before, I don't know enough about it to tell you what's
That's what I
right, what's right and what's wrong. But I do have enough sense to tell you this much: that just because something doesn't make sense to someone
doesn't mean it's not real.
with Western eyes,
Right.
or doesn't mean that that's not the case.
Right.
You see, it's like, for example, I once asked Reb Greengrass Olav Shalom, the Kubel from Montreal, the Mashvia, right? So I was learning I was learning some Gemara, and the Gemara talks about the shadim. You never learned the Gemara in Brachos, right? The demon, negative energies, and all this has got to come back to what we're learning about, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. And it says that if you would see these things, you wouldn't even be able to sit down on your chair because you would never finish wiping the chair clean. Okay. So, of course, like Michal always says, when I was a teenager, I thought I knew everything. But anyway, I actually asked him, and he gave me an example. He says, before the electron microscope was invented, there were already doctors and scientists, not many, there was one in particular who said that illness is transferred through these little microorganisms that you can't see. And even though he was a respected scientist in his field, in this particular thing, they said he's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And then the electron microscope was invented. And Mazel Tov, they saw it all. Okay? So, there are negative energies around us all the time. That's a fact. Okay? And when's the last time you thought that you put your phone down over here and somewhere else in the house? Right? The shadim took it. Okay? And there was a young man that was here about 20 years ago, and he had to go back home to the States. He wasn't functioning because I'd stand with him in the middle of the street, and we were talking, and all of a sudden he'd say, "Did you see that?" And I said, "What?" He said, "There's negative energies." And so a psychiatrist, the doctor would say, the guy's just imagining, right? But maybe he wasn't imagining. Maybe that was his problem, that he saw too much of that, The fact of the matter is, when people say, the expression, to blow somebody's mind. It's possible to have your mind blown when you get too much information, too much experience, too much this. You can, what do you call it? You blow the circuits.
Yeah.
Okay. You've heard of Jerusalem syndrome. These people
Yes.
who walk around thinking that they're Mashiach.
Yeah.
I told you, the fastest treatment is they put them on a bus to Tel Aviv. You're Mashiach? Okay, you're going to Tel Aviv. Go ahead, do it.
That's a story that's
Okay,
told
so-
in a mental home where somebody says he thinks he's a Mashiach. He says, impossible. Really impossible. Because I'm God,
I know, that's right.
In this reference, it says the outer shell. What the outer shell wants is called a clipper. What about the inner shell? Is that also?
So there are layers, like
So there's
you
clippers on
ever
the inside
cut
too?
open an
Yeah,
onion?
but the clipper could be on the inside also.
In Montreal, they call the French Canadians call the Hasidic women onions because they dress in all these shells. Okay. There's different kinds, different qualities to different shells and so on. But we're not going
so
any
it's
further.
interesting.
We're not going.
Okay.
I know it's interesting,
But your outer shell wants it.
But I'm not going to speak more about it because anything more I'm not going to be able to give you with accuracy. Okay?
Right.
Now, so I know that I want to eat this, I want that, right? So that's all chitzonius stuff, right? So in this, I really appreciate this little thing that comes around for Shabbos. They put it around in the shuls called Karov Elecha. It's like have you seen it? It's like about a 15-page magazine type of thing. They have a page from Rabbi Sachs, a page from Reb Shlomo, a page from Bnei Akiva rabbis. So and they have questions that they send to Rabbanim and to get a variety of answers. And the question that I saw in last week's issue, are you allowed to go to the shopping center?
On Shabbos?
Shabbos you're allowed because you're not going to waste money. No, bechlal. Are you allowed to go to the shopping center in general?
Really? I don't know
What
I
kind of
never
question
saw
is
this.
that?
It's a good one. Are you allowed? It's like let me put it this way. I think I said this the other day. Can you imagine our souls up in Shemayim, and we receive news that there was the first biggest shopping mall in Canada, in Toronto? Or what's it called? Toronto. Yorkdale. They opened up this big shopping center in Toronto.
It's even bigger now.
And can you imagine that we're up there in Shemayim and we hear that they opened up Yorkdale Shopping Center in Toronto, and we go to Hashem, we say, Hashem, could we go? We want to go shopping, right? Sort of a little bit hard to imagine that we would be doing that, right? Okay. Now, why? So going to a shopping center is a spiritually dangerous trip. So there was I spoke about it last night, and there was Leah was sitting here next to me, and she says maybe for the men, but not so much for the women.
Well, for men it's dangerous, but it's not for women.
That's what she was saying. It's more dangerous for the men than for the women. So so she was obviously thinking about that I was talking from a Haredi perspective about the men looking at the women.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, and what about this idea of a shopping center? The way it's designed is that whatever you got is not enough. You have to buy this, and you have to buy this, and you have to buy that. Is that spiritually dangerous for the women? She says, yeah, even more so than for the men. Okay.
Do you really think of that when you go to a shopping center?
No, I do.
About the men?
No.
Oh.
Anyway, so what's Parshat is a spiritually dangerous thing, because it's the concept, the mindset of what that's all about is very antithetical to what Torah is about. Okay, Now, so this rabbi says, and by the way, it's a Bnei Akiva rabbi. He says, if you have to go and get something and you know what you're going to get, go get it and get out of there. You can go. But to hang around in the shopping center, I don't know if did you ever try to find a parking spot near the Malcha Mall on Motzei Shabbos?
Go on my bicycle, no problem.
Yeah. But, there are cars parked around there like it's as bad as Nachlaot at night, even worse, okay? And it's like, people just go to hang around in the shopping center, like and so on. Okay, great. So Reb Shlomo writes that, levalot et hazman. You know what levalot et hazman literally means?
To waste the time.
It means to waste the time. Levalot means to rub something down, scrape it down until it's almost useless, right? Levalot et hazman is basically like killing time, And that's what Reb Shlomo is talking about over here, is that we're always compromising. We're not bothering to get in touch with that which we really want. And part of the reason that we don't do that is because we might know what we really want, and we're aware that to achieve it is going to take a major effort and struggle. Okay? That's a reality.
Also
right?
giving up things.
Also, and so for example, a lot of people would like to be doctors, but not too many people want to sit on their butt for 10 years memorizing stuff. You have to be ready to be ready to pay the price for what you want, for what you really want. And that which you get, that which just, what do they say? No pain, no gain. If it's just something that comes easily to you, and so on. So that's not really why you're in the world, for the easy stuff. Okay, so Reb Shlomo says that
To be
you have to, and we need to go on. Okay,
Yeah.
it's almost. I'm going to finish this before
We're
we go.
doing this to half hour.
I know
No,
Julie's
yeah.
coming home tonight, and I got to finish cleaning the
Uh-oh.
house. It's pikuach
You
nefesh.
better.
Okay.
Yeah, you better. You're in trouble.
You open up the front door and the back door and let the wind do a whoosh, and you're done. You don't have to spend time.
He knows what he has to do. He knows what's going to happen. Good, I like that.
What are you, a spy?
I think it's good. He's scared. It shows love.
I'm trembling.
Fear.
Already.
To be a God-conscious person,
It's so
it
cute.
takes an effort too. It
Yeah.
takes
Yes,
effort.
yes.
To
That's the
have
point.
this kesher,
And to know your kishkis, to know your real essence, takes work,
Mhm.
because you've been educated by the system
take the easy way out.
to teach you not to think about what you really want.
That's true.
Okay.
We've been I'll ask you,
We mamish gotta move. That's right.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Brainwashed.
Also,
No,
money.
we've
trained
been brain
smart.
contaminated.
It's
We
true.
need to brainwash.
No, but the world taught us that.
Okay. Yeah.
Things, money,
That's
that's
so.
what you want.
Vayetze Yaakov meBe'er Sheva vayelech Chorono. Is the neshama is coming down from this beautiful place of habitat, and it's coming down to Chorono, to Charon Afshel.
What's Chorono?
Charon is not a place, but it also means the anger of the world. It's coming down into the world of anger, into the world of division, the world of separation. Okay. So, forgive me, but I want to move. Okay.
Okay.
So, skip the next big paragraph. He's telling a story, which is a good story, very important story, but I'm going to move on. Haschut page 210, the second paragraph. Haschut HaGdola Biyoter. The greatest merit is Hi Ladat Ma Anachnu Hachi Rotzim. It's the greatest merit, it's the greatest thing to know what we really want, what we want most. Let me Anachnu Hachi Ohavim, and to know whom we love the most. אפשר להסתובב בעולם חיים שלמים ולא לטום שמץ טעם אמיתי במי שאנחנו באמת אוהבים. We can go live in the world and move around an entire lifetime without ever having tasted the true taste of whom we really love.
Tika, what did the word shemet mean?
Shemet means like the word schmutz, like the slightest amount. Shemet is a speck. Thank you. Forgetting my English. So, בשבת מתפללים, on Shabbat we pray, והנכדנו השם אלוקינו באהבה ורצון. Hashem, our God, give us as an inheritance with love and with desire. על פי פשוטו אנחנו מתפללים לזכות לקבל את השבת מתוך אהבה ורצון. The simple meaning of the prayer is that we want to have the merit to receive Shabbos with love and will. אבל רבי נחמן אומר, שהפירוש האמיתי הוא, that the real meaning of it is, השם תן לי בבקשה לדעת בשבת מה אני באמת אוהב, מה אני באמת רוצה. Please Hashem, on Shabbos, give me the gift of finding out what I really love and what I really want. Right?
That's a powerful
prayer. Yes. כאן אנחנו מגיעים לעומק העומקים. So now we're getting to the depth of it. השם אמר לאברהם ללכת לארץ ישראל. ואברהם בוודאי רצה את ארץ ישראל בכל ליבו. כי זו הייתה מתנה מאת השם. Hashem said to Abraham, go to Israel, and Abraham surely wants Israel with all his heart because it's a gift from God. Yitzchak לא הורשה לצאת מארץ ישראל. Yitzchak was born in Israel and he wasn't given permission to leave. ובוודאי רצה את ארץ ישראל בכל ליבו, and he surely wanted ארץ ישראל with all his heart. אבל אצל יעקב זו הייתה מדרגה אחרת, וביעקב it was on a different level. כשיצא יעקב מארץ ישראל, when Yaakov left Israel, התברר לו לפתע, it suddenly became very clear to him, שהדבר שהוא הכי רוצה בעולם הוא ארץ ישראל. Because he was leaving, it became so clear to him that what he wants the most is ארץ ישראל. הדבר שהוא ממש רוצה הוא שהשם ינקה את הלב ואת הנשמה שלו. And what Shlomo spoke about this before, but look at what he did now. You notice that, Yaakov? He's talking about how much he wants Eretz Yisrael, yeah? And all of a sudden he's talking about he wants Hashem to cleanse his heart. Okay? You understand? He just defined what it means to be loved with Eretz Yisrael. To be in love with being in a place where your heart is mamish clean and pure. Okay? ואז יעקב ממש אחז בהשם. Sorry, yeah. And then in desperation he grasped onto God. ויפגע במקום. He grasped the makom. Hashem is known as the makom also. ריבונו של עולם, אתה מוכרח להקשיב לי. You have to listen to me. ובאותו לילה חלם את חלומו. And that night Hashem gave him his dream. בתחילה הוא חלם על סולם שמלאכים עולים ויורדים בו. At first he dreamt about a ladder that angels are going up and down. אם אתה טוב אתה עולה, אם אתה רע אתה יורד. If you're good you ascend, if you're not you descend. ואז כתוב, and then it says, והנה השם ניצב עליו, and behold Hashem was above the ladder. So Rabbi Mishbitzer אומר, so the Mishbitzer says, שאכן, yes indeed it's true, Hashem dan otanu b'li haref, God is always judging us, okay? וקובע את מקומנו על הסולם, and determining our place on the ladder, לעלות או לרדת, determining whether we're going up or down. אבל עצם הקשר להשם הרבה יותר עמוק מזה, but our essence connection with God is a lot deeper than pluses and minuses. כן, יש עולם ובו סולם. Yes, there is a world, there's a ladder. המלאכים, the angels, הם שליחי השם בעולם, who are God's emissaries in the world, עולים ויורדים בו, they're going up and they're going down. הם חלק מטבע העולם, that's the nature of They're part of the nature of the world. Aval Hashem hu me'al hakol, but God is above all this. Hu amok mikol, He's deeper than all this. Hashem nitzav alav, Hashem is right there over Yaakov. Voto rega, at that moment, page 211, Voto rega hitbarer lo, Yaakov, it became clear to Yaakov, שהקשר שלו עם השם הרבה יותר עמוק ויציב מכל זה. He realized that his connection with Hashem is far deeper than whether he's ascending or descending the ladder. Hashem is there. Okay, in other words, you can always connect with Hashem, even if you're at the lowest round. וכשיעקב הבין את זה, השם ממש היה בתוכו. And when Yaakov understood this, then Hashem ממש illuminated within him. Okay? Again, going back to Klippa, why don't I see the divine light shining brightly out of you? Right?
Because you don't see it, maybe?
Because why don't you see it shining brightly out of me or anybody? Because it only shines out from a person who realizes the depth of his relationship with Hashem in the deepest way. Okay? You can see people who do everything right. They live in the right neighborhood, they wear the right clothes, okay? And you don't see any light. Okay, you're not experiencing any light in their presence. Now, some of them are hidden tzaddikim, that's a different story. But otherwise, the fact that you're doing everything right on a conscious level doesn't mean that you're deeply connecting with Hashem. Okay? You really have to know what you really want. You really have to know what's so important in your life. And when you know that, how do you know that? You're ready to go across the world to find it. You're Jacob, do you mind getting the door? Thank you. Then you're desperate to have it. Okay? And so the whole thing began with that we learned from the words Vayivga Bamakom, we learned that Yaakov established. Nobody was there? Are they coming in?
No.
Was it an angel? Was it what?
Yeah.
Ah, Yocheved. Welcome. So, okay, come in. It's okay. Have a seat, please. So,
Desperate to have it.
From the inside.
when you know it, when you know what you really want, and that's what you really want, then you're gonna pray like someone who's desperate. But you've got makom, right? I'm not willing to give up on this because this is what I really want. Right? Like that example that he gave the other day. If you really want to save somebody's life and you need $1 million and you're going to go to Rothschild, you're not going to say, hey, what do you think about giving me $1 million? You're going to just grab them and say, I need this, and I need to save somebody's life. Okay? So when you know what you need to be to do with your life, then there comes a point where you just say, I don't want to waste any more time. Killing time. Who has the time to kill? Right? Okay. And I know people that from the moment they wake up to the moment they finally fall asleep at night, every moment is not just stop busy, but every moment is
accounted for.
It's accounted for. Every moment is accounted for. Okay?
Sure.
So, so that's what Reb Shlomo was saying. Is like, the valut's man, to waste time, like, like, so good. So he says that there are certain schools and subjects. If you get a 56, you passed, right? Okay. So you want to come up to Shemaim with a 56? Okay, you sind your head, But what about, like Reb Shlomo once said, that we're going to be shown two movies, one what we could have done and one what we did. If the two are the same, you're in Gan Eden. That's Gan Eden, right? But if there's a big gap, oy vey, like So Esav היה סבו של עמלק. עמלק מנסה לשכנע אותנו לא להיות אמיתיים במה שאנחנו עושים. Amalek tries to convince us not to be so real in what we're doing. There's a terrible Jewish joke. This woman comes to a Rebbe, and she says, "Rebbe, my son, he davens Shachris for 2 hours, and then he fasts on Mondays and Thursdays, and he's learning all the time till 2:00 in the morning." And the Rebbe says, "So what's the problem? I do the same." She says, "Yeah, but he means it." You have to be different age to understand that one, And you understand? Amalek says, "Do you want to be religious? You want to strammel? You know how much a custom's outfit costs nowadays? Like, strammel, kapote, the shulas, Quebec, how much is it? About $6,000-7,000 now?
Just for the strammel, it's about $5,000.
Wow.
No, unless you're a Ger Chassid. The Ger Rebbe made
The Vishnitz Rebbe.
the Ger Chassidim.
I know how much
He
these
said,
things cost.
you're not allowed to spend more than X amount of money on a strammel, and they're pretty much all of them are now wearing vegetarian strammels.
Are they?
A lot of them, yeah.
But in Vishnitz, it's
And I'm saying that in Ger, the Ger Rebbe is like very serious about these things,
good.
He also put out a ruling that you can't have more than 200 guests at your wedding,
Good.
even if you have
Also
500,
good.
even if you have 500 cousins.
Too bad.
What's the
Because
Why should you
it
waste
was
your money on
putting.
that?
It's not. It's
buy
not.
an apartment,
No, it's not a matter of
buy a bed.
not a matter of
Whatever.
just wasting money.
It's
People
so true.
don't
It's
have
so
money.
Insane. It's so
People
insane.
don't have money,
It's so not normal.
and they're pressured.
I really can't.
They're pressured to do these things.
Terrible.
Like,
It's like
and
really
this happened
bad.
after the father of Akala. The father of Akala dropped dead at his daughter's chuppah.
There was a wedding in India. It was on the BBC quite recently. An Indian businessman, like a tycoon. He spent £45 million on his daughter's wedding.
Did your mother have anything to do with that one? Your mother's a wedding planner. Maybe she should. Maybe he has another daughter.
What's the name?
Anyway, I once saw this. They have this professional journal for caterers and wedding planners and so on. I don't know if your mother gets a subscription to that. So they give prizes for what do you call it? For the most innovative
Wedding.
idiocy. So this the prize. I happened to see this magazine a few years ago. The prize went to this planner who had the Kala walk to the chuppah on a 6-inch thick bed of rose petals.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
6
That
inches?
thick, yes. And
Never.
it cost $80,000 for all those rose petals. So
Bad.
she walked to the chuppah
And
ruining
$80,000.
$80,000. That was the point. You see?
I should tell you a funny story about you.
Ziva, I'm going to finish this now. Okay?
Yeah.
So Amalek is basically saying, go ahead, do all this stuff, but don't give me this business about being 100% real. Right? The Amalek is the gematria suffix. But are you really sure? You really mean it? What are you going to be like tomorrow? Okay, it's so good. So you want to live this lifestyle? It's a nice lifestyle. People, children is a good food, and and it's a nice community. People care for each other, and people are doing things and so on, so on. But to be so real, Okay. So Loli from Mitoch Emet. Amalek just is. Let's the emes is is buried in the ground. The Gemara says that Esav can only be caught by fall into the hands of Rachel's descendants. They can wipe out Amalek. Etzleinu Yaakov barach me'Esav. מה היה הדבר הראשון שעשה יעקב? הוא עצר ופגע במקום. So Yaakov had to run away from Esav. What's the first thing that he does? He comes to the place. He's begging Hashem to be able to come back to Israel. Hashem ne'ena lo, and Hashem answered him, the land that you're lying on, sleeping there now, and if you remember, what did he quote the Ishbasur on the previous page? That the Ishbasur says that when is Hashem cleaning your insides? When is Hashem cleaning your insides? When you're sleeping. Yaakov noder neder, and as a result of this, Yaakov takes an oath and he takes an oath, and he's saying that he's going to do everything he can to be as absolutely honest as he possibly can be. Kadesh says, so that his children should be able to wipe out Esav, and save the world. In other words, the only way to overcome Esav, the only way to overcome Amalek, is to mamish be totally real.
What does that mean? Totally real. So whatever you say is true.
And that you mean it, and that you're saying it was real. The ganze Geschäft.
Why only
he's going to deal with that later on, either in the next piece or somewhere else. But basically, because Rachel had Mesiris Nefesh so that her sister shouldn't get embarrassed.
Right.
So Reb Shlomo used to end off and say, bless me and I bless you back, that we should mamish like this teaching has been an awesome teaching, this particular lesson of Reb Shlomo, that we should be zeicha to really be in touch with what we really, really want and not get sidetracked, by the newest this and the newest that and the newest that, most of which, you buy these things and you don't really need it. One day I noticed that my bathroom was full of these bottles of things that I bought at the pharmacy. And I was realizing that every week I was spending $30, $40 just at the pharmacy, like this on special, that on special, that on special. So I decided to make a little experiment. For 3 weeks I wasn't going to go to the pharmacy. Guess what? I didn't die. I managed perfectly fine without it.
Yeah.
Most of the things, it's just the system, the marketplace. They know how to push your buttons, and kacha. Okay, so we should have a good Shabbos.
Amen.
And see you, Mr. Shem, next week.
I'll tell you a funny story. Before I came to the shiur, the first Tuesday, somebody said, you have to come to the shiur on Parshat. And she texted me, if you don't like the shiur, it's such a beautiful house. You're going to love this. So I
somebody
said,
please put
wait,
that on Facebook now?
I want to tell you, listen. So I said, I'll tell you the truth. I'm going to a shiur in a room that's so beautiful with like a Rebbe who's fantastic. And we sit, it's like kind of like a cave, and I really like it. I really, really like it.